أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم والله غفور رحيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: إن هذا الدين بدأ غريبا وسيعود كما بدأ فطوبى للغرباء. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in a hadith, when this deen started, at the beginning stages of this deen, it was very strange for the people. Everything about this deen was very new for people. When people saw others practicing this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they felt that this is something totally strange. We can't accept this. This is something that goes against all of our teachings that we had up to now. It goes against all of our traditions that we had been following up to now. It goes against our ways of life. And it teaches people such things that in our tradition these things can never be acceptable. We are used to having so much fun. This deen says, no, you must worry about akhirah. We are used to doing so many different things. Now, the followers of deen are saying, this is haram, you are not allowed to do this. You do something else, this is haram too. Third thing, this is haram too. How are we going to live without all of these things? Bada'a ghariba. It was very strange for people. And that was one of the main reasons for opposing the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we hear the word again and again repeatedly mentioned in Quran, وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا كَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ. We found our forefathers doing these things. People always presented this as a proof against all the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam. This is nothing unique about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam or about few of the Anbiya. This was something commonly mentioned to all the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam. وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا كَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ. When we look at the stories of Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam in Quran, we find that this word is repeatedly mentioned with the story of all the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam. And it sounds like how stupid that was. You're saying that your forefathers were doing it, this is why it has to be correct. But for those people, this was such a strong proof that our forefathers used to do this. Now you're telling us that this is haram? And we are used to doing these things throughout our lives. You want us to give up all of these things all of a sudden just like this? This is not happening. This can't happen here. So everything about the deen was very strange. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam tells us, وَسَيَعُودُ كَمَا بَدَى. Soon, this deen will be in the same position as it was at the beginning. It will be as strange for people later on in the history as it was at the beginning. Just as people looked at the deen and said, what are you doing? What did you do to yourself? Look at yourself. What are you doing? This is something totally strange. It won't work in this society. It won't work in this house. It won't work in this community. Not in these days and age. All of these words are the same thing that we read in Quran. وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا كَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ. We found our forefathers doing that. And you want to oppose all of this? You think you are the only Muslim in the world? We hear these type of words. You are the best person in the world. You are the only scholar in the world. You are the only knowledgeable person in the world. You are the only person who worries about Jannah. وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا كَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ. It won't work. You are going against the flow. You will be crushed. You will be destroyed. No one will let you do it. very amazing situations when we see people out there doing all kind of strange things. The strangest thing in the world are happening out there. No one even cares about it. As long as it comes on the name of a new fashion. Oh, this is the new fashion now. They will have some of the movie stars wear a certain type of dress, present them on the people in the public. Now everyone starts wearing that. So many holes all over the pant. And everyone wants to wear it. This is the new fashion. But if you're wearing a modest dress, no, this is not going to work. What do you think you are? All kind of haircuts, strange haircuts, coloring putting 6, 7 different type of colors on the same head. It's all acceptable. Beard? No. It's not acceptable. This is not good. Look at your gray hair in it. They will show you all kind of things in it. But they can see none of these things over there in that head. That carries all of those strange things. And you keep on looking at it. The strangest things are happening out there. But they all are acceptable. The only thing that is not acceptable is the Deen of Allah and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You see people walking with a mask on their face. That person says that I have a flu, I am sick, I have allergies, so I have to keep the mask on my face. But if a woman is wearing a hijab, this becomes very strange. How come you are covering your face? The other person is covering his face the same way. But that is acceptable because it's for health reason. You do it for the Deen of Allah is not acceptable. وَسَيَعُودُ كَمَا بَدَى. Soon a time will come when this Deen will be as strange as it was in the very beginning. Followers of Deen will be considered to be strange in their own communities. Followers of Deen will be considered to be strange in their own homes, in their own families. Someone follows the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the family. It's so strange for everyone. Everyone just keeps on looking at this person. What are you doing? You're bringing something totally new. And all of these people know that this is the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No one denies it. It's only that in this day and age, it's not going to work. It's not helpful. It's not useful. All of these kind of excuses the bottom line is, no, just stay away from the sunnahs during this day and time. Because everything else is acceptable, the Deen of Allah is strange for people now. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had already informed us about it. Someone is getting married and he decides that he would like to have his marriage according to the Sunnah. Subhanallah, the whole society is going to jump on this person. Sometimes people who are considered to be some of the best people in this society, very highly acceptable from the Islamic point of view, mashallah, this person is very virtuous person, very good person, and he's always into the deen, and he does even tahajjud, and he does this and all of this work of deen. But when it comes to these type of traditions, he also fulfills all of those, and he does every haram, the same reason. وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا كَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ. All of our forefathers had been doing the same thing. The whole community does the same thing. If I don't do it, I will be left out. I will be just cornered. I will be, the people will just stop talking to me. I won't have no more say in the community. And subhanallah, all of these type of reasonings and excuses that come to our mind, that I must do what everyone else is doing in the community. Following this sunnah is getting difficult and difficult day by day. But this is the sign of having the iman. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam continues to tell us in the same hadith, فَطُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَاءِ. He says, I'm giving the good news for the strange people of that time. He says, in those days, choose to be strange than to be part of the community. To be a known person. To be doing something that is acceptable to people. Instead of doing that, no, just accept to be a strange person in that community. In the community where following the sunnah is strange, then live as a stranger in that community. Let everyone look at you as you are something totally different. فَطُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَاءِ. Good news for the strange people. وَهُمُ الَّذِينَ. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself explained, who are the strange people of that time? وَهُمُ الَّذِينَ يُصْلِحُونَ مَا أَفْسَدَ النَّاسُ مِنْ بَعْدِي مِنْ سُنَّتِي. Those strange people will be those who try to bring up the sunnahs that people have neglected after me. They will be the strange people of the time. And really, now it's going beyond the sunnahs. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us that sunnahs, that person who would follow the sunnah will be considered strange. Now, a person who even fulfills the faraid of deen considers to be strange in his own community. The way parents look at their children, or children look at their parents sometime. Dad, what are you doing? Are you going to pray here at the airport? People are going to laugh at us. And you see situations, sometimes really amazing situations, where a father or a mother is praying and children say, wait, let us just go and stay far from you so no one would know that we are with you. I have also observed situations where she is praying and the husband stays far away from her. He sees her, he watches her just like every other kafir is looking at her. Stays away that, no, I don't know who she is, okay, I'm watching her just the way you people are. طُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَاءِ. Good news for the strangers of that time. Be a strange person than being one of the people that are going with the flow. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us in a hadith, on the day of judgment, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring all the people out of their qabr, out of their graves. يَجْمَعُ اللَّهُ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَالْآخَرِينَ. Allah will bring all the people together from the time of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam until the last person that would come into this world. As they all will come out, now they will start seeing the sun on their head. And as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam described, that it will be only a fist away from people's head. And people will be in their sweat according to their a'mal and their deeds. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will just leave them in that situation. It will be such a difficult situation for people that all the people, including the kuffar, worst kuffar of the world, worst criminals of the world, those who know for sure that they are destined to Jahannam, they know where they are going to, all the people will be hoping for the judgment to start. And even the disbelievers will say, we know we are going to Jahannam, but it's better to go to Jahannam than standing in the sun heat at this place. They will think that this is worse than that, whereas the reality will be totally the opposite. But since they have never experienced anything like this, so this, according to their understanding, this is the worst thing. There can't be anything worse than this. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, they all will go to Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. Oh Adam, you are our father. خَلَقَكَ اللَّهُ بِيَدِهِ. Allah created you with His own hands. And He gave you time to live in His Jannah. You are so close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to start the judgment. Intercede on our behalf for the judgment to start. That's it. We are not saying what to do with us, just for the judgment to start. Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam's response will be, Nafsi, nafsi, I'm afraid about myself today. I'm afraid about myself today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had forbidden me from eating from a tree. And I made the mistake and ate from that tree. If I go to Him and talk to Him, and He would ask me this question, why did you eat from the tree? What I'm going to say? This is a mistake that was forgiven. And he is a prophet of Allah. And from the time Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam leave this world until Qiyamah, they are not dead. They are receiving the rahmah of Allah. They are receiving all the anwarat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But still, on that day, even they will be afraid. Now what if Allah will tell me today, why did you eat from the tree? Inna Rabbi ghadiba al-yawma ghadaban lam yaghdab qablahu mithlah wa lan yaghdab ba'dahu mithlah. Allah is so angry today that He was never so angry before, He will never be this angry after this. So today He is very angry. I'm scared to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nafsi, nafsi, I'm afraid about my nafs. اذهبوا إلى غيري. Go to someone else. اذهبوا إلى نوح. Go to Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam. He may be able to do it. So all the people will go to Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, and they will say to Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose you for His risala, and He sent you as a Rasul to such a large nation. So go and intercede to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on our behalf for the judgment to start. He will say the same thing. Inna Rabbi ghadiba al-yawma ghadaban lam yaghdab qablahu mithlah wa lan yaghdab ba'dahu mithlah. Allah is so angry that He was never so angry before, He will never be this angry after this. Therefore, I'm afraid to talk to Allah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked me not to make dua for the kuffar, and I prayed for my son. I made the dua for my son. I made that mistake. He knows that it was forgiven. Even when he was alive, it was forgiven. And after his death, after he departed this world, he is there receiving the rahmah of Allah, and he knows Allah is pleased with him. But on that day, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is angry, even he is afraid to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I can't do this. اذهبوا إلى غيري. Go to someone else. And people will go to Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam will say, no, I can't even do this. Go to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam will have the same response, that I can't do this. He will say, go to Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. People will go to Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, and he will have the same response, I can't do this. Let's pause here for a minute with this hadith and just think of what would be our situation on that day. When all of these Anbiya alayhim salatu wassalam are afraid to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they just remember one mistake, not even a sin. One mistake they have made for which Allah was upset. And finally He told them that I have forgiven you. And after that, since after that, they were so close to Allah. But on that day, they remember that mistake of theirs, and they're afraid, what if Allah will ask me about this? We need to sometimes sit by ourselves and remind ourselves that I have been doing so many wrongdoings. Every few days I miss one salah. Let me ask myself, what if Allah will ask me, why were you missing it every day? Why were you missing it every few days? You knew that you can't wake up. Why didn't you make the proper arrangement for waking up? You knew that when you walk out, you commit this haram. Why didn't you make the proper arrangement to stay away from haram? You knew that when you live in that place, you commit these type of sins. Why didn't you do what you had to do to stop yourself from committing these sins? For us, we are not even talking about sins that we have committed once in our lifetime. We are talking about things that are going on daily basis on our life. Daily basis in our life. A person with his own hand, he picks up the razor and he's shaving every day. It's his own action that is going on daily basis. A woman leaves her home without her hijab. She prepares herself. She prepares herself to be out, to be presentable to other people, and she walks out every day out of her home in that position. This is daily routine. A person goes out and he's looking at the maharim women that are not mahram to him, and he's committing that sin on daily basis. Continuously is going on. And we feel we are excused. Let's just think of those sins. I'm not even mentioning the sins that we had committed once in a while. Inshallah, those are forgiven. But the things that we are continuing doing them on our daily basis, what are we going to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about these? With our own willingness, every day we sit in front of the TV and we start watching all of those haram things. We say, I'm only watching the news. Is that woman mahram to us? That reading the news? Say if you don't even see nothing else. Daily basis, the person is committing that sin. And the reason I'm mentioning this at this time, because as the month of Ramadan will be over, we'll be going back to the normal life. And normal life simply means some type of sins that we are used to committing on daily basis. It's part of our routine that we get into these sins. It's our routine to know our children, they will do this on daily basis. Our children, every day, they will be missing the Fajr Salah. They live in our own home. They do not perform the Salah. They live in our same home. We will eat dinner at the end of the day together. We will provide them with everything. And we know that throughout the course of the day, they were in their schools, they were in the colleges, they were in the universities, and therefore they were excused from doing the Salah. We know that they don't do it over there. Sins, and not even just normal sins. This is the rule of the Sharia. If a minor sin, some of the smallest sin you can think of in your life, if the minor sin is committed as a routine, the person continuously commit one of the minor sins, this becomes one of the major sin, and that person is considered to be a fasiq. When a minor sin is continuously committed, and the person is seen committing that sin continuously, this by itself becomes a major sin, and that person is considered to be a fasiq. Imagine what if a major sin is committed on a daily basis.